All right, so in this video, I wanted to cover my top 10 sneaker regrets for 2023. These are 10 pairs of sneakers that I kind of just regret buying. And I just wanted to throw this out there. Some of these ones you might even own and you might be kind of offended if they're on the list. But just keep this in mind, like some of them, if we were talking about it and like I was like, yeah, I regret that one. And then you guys said, no, but what about this? And I'd be like, okay, maybe I don't regret it. So it's not like there's so much regret here that I'm overwhelmed in any way, shape, or form. Some of them more than others for sure. Some of them I'm just like, you know, okay, yeah, I guess these ones were fine on the list. Ultimately, when I came up with this, I started with 5 and I ended up with 10. Some of them were a little bit looser than others. So with that disclaimer out there, let's jump right into the list. So the number 10 spot for myself goes to the UFOS slides. These are really comfortable slides in theory, but when I got them, I was like, you know what, it just doesn't work for my feet personally. Now, I'm sure lots of people absolutely love these slides, but for me, I don't know why. The way that the midsole worked out, it just felt a little bit off. Felt a little bit unstable. But what really threw me off is the foam on the strap was like folded, like just a big indent on it. And that let me think like the longevity of these slides are probably not going to be very good for me personally. Again, I thought it was more like a memory foam sort of thing. And eventually that would have strained out after, you know, the shoes came out of the package or whatever, but it never went away. So I ended up returning that pair because it just was not something that I saw myself keeping for the price point. There's potential there for the slides to be really comfortable. Just the way that the midsole was created, it just felt, again, a little bit too off. So for that reason, I decided to go ahead and throw these on the list. The number 9 on the list is another pair that I was looking over. I'm like, yeah, I kind of regret this one. And that's the Air Jordan 4 Craft. Now, this colorway in theory looked really good. Like I thought it was a nice looking colorway. But then the weird little patches on the side, I don't know. The craft versions of some of the Air Jordans just don't necessarily resonate with people too much. The 5s, the 4s specifically. And these ones just had weird little patches of colors. I wish it was a little bit more uniform throughout the shoe. And the overall materials and the color blocking just was a little bit off to me. Not one that I was like super excited about once I got them in hand. From images at first glance, I was like, yeah, it looks pretty good in theory. Then I got them in hand and I was like, not really what I was expecting. Put them on feet and I was like, I don't really know about these ones. I have other Air Jordan 4s that I much prefer over them. Not saying this is a terrible colorway. Some people, even in my review video, said, wait, you're crazy. These are amazing. And to those people, hats off to you guys. I mean, everybody has their own opinions. But for me, I was like, this one just doesn't really do it for me. But again, I realize this pair can go either way. Some people absolutely love this one. Might be somebody's favorite pair of the year, which is totally fine. I'm not knocking you guys. Just for me personally, not my favorite. Number 8 spot goes to the Nike Vaporfly 3. This is a shoe that I really liked in theory. I walked in to the Nike store in person, picked them up because it was a new model. I wanted to try them out. Just a little bit too narrow for my taste. Honestly, they're super lightweight. The Zoom X is great on the shoes. They're very breathable. All of those things I really like, but just the width of the shoe is just, it's not made for casual, obviously. And I know that. And you guys know that. And for those people that want to flame me for even trying them because it's a running shoe and I'm not running in them. Yeah, I understand you guys. You guys have made your points through the years. Ultimately, though, there is a crossover of some sneakers that are made for running that are worn for casual. And there's also some shoes that are not made for casual that people use to run in. So it is what it is. Ultimately, we have feet. We try on shoes. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. This is one that I loved on paper. Love the theory of it, but the overall width of the shoe is just a little bit too narrow for my personal preference. They have other models that I like a lot better. And for the price point, I think they were like $250 or whatever they were. I was just like, I'd rather save the $250, buy my kids something instead. So for that reason, I ended up returning them, but still a really nice one. And some people probably don't mind them casually. It just, for me, it wasn't a no-go. And in that same vein, we have the Nike Ultrafly Trail Runner with Zoom X. Now, this is a really good one as well. In theory, I like the width of the shoe. There's lots and lots of positives about the shoe other than the price point being ridiculous. I think that this model has a lot of potential. Overall comfort is there as a trail running sneaker or as just an overall casual sneaker. It's actually pretty decent. The thing that threw me off the most is I wore these out and about and got a little bit of grass on the midsole and it immediately stained the midsole because the midsole was actually wrapped in a material that did not really absorb like grass and stuff very well. So that is kind of a fail. It made it very difficult to keep those things clean, especially in the white colorway. They were really comfortable, just overly expensive. And the fact that they just obtained so much dirt and grime through just wearing them just very casually, I was like, these are not going to last very long. So I ended up returning those ones as well. Number 6 spot goes to the Tatum ones, the Jordan brand Tatum ones. I actually really like this shoe as well. In theory, I got them in hand, but the Tatum one had a kind of an exposed air unit sort of thing going on with the outsole. And for casual consumption, I'm like, this is kind of weird. It's a lightweight shoe. The build quality was there. The Zoom bag was pretty comfortable. But when I saw the outsole, I was like, you know what? This is one of those shoes that casually, it's not going to be very well consumed. Even on court, I really wonder about the longevity of the overall design. I like that it's a little bit outside the box. Leave a comment in the comment section. Do you guys have a pair? Have you worn them casually? Do you wear them on the court, and have they actually lasted or not? Curious to see. But overall, I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool, but just a little bit too different, unfortunately, for casual consumption. So back to the store those ones went. So the number 5 spot goes to the Adidas Fog Adilet slides. These things were $100, man. And to be honest, I might have kept them just because like they look pretty decent, but the size was too small for me. They fit a little bit too snug. And because of that, I decided to end up returning them. Plus, you could just go to Adidas website and get the regular Adilet slide, not the Adilet Comforts or the Adilet shower slides or the Aquas. I actually did a full detailed video of all the different Adilet slides that I have. There's like 6 different versions. But any which way you can get the base Adilet slides that are made in Italy is same as the Fear of God slides. It says so on the outsole. The outsole, midsoles are exactly the same. The only difference is the strap has leather on the Fear of Gods versus a regular pair. And that's $100 versus like $35 or $40. So when it comes down to it, the value is not quite there. For those specifically for myself, I'd rather get the regular Adilet slides without the Fear of God branding. Although the Fear of God ones were nice with the leather, but $100 were not really justified in my opinion. So I ended up returning those ones again because, again, of the sizing issue. The number 4 spot's going to rub people the wrong way, but it's just a shoe that I don't see myself wearing too much. And I've actually worn them publicly once, but I haven't worn them again. And that is the Nike Air Flea to Cactus Plant Flea Market. It's just such a bulbous, weird looking pair of sneakers. It's just not my favorite looking. When it comes down to it, I knew I was getting myself into something crazy just because they're obviously just a crazy looking shoe. But I got them on feet. And I was like, yeah, they look okay. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, the wearability is there very, very minimally. I'm not that cutting edge where I could probably pull them off. And I think that that's what it comes down to for me. It's like I have lots of sneakers. I have lots of sneakers that are not like necessarily cookie cutter sneakers. Some of them that are very far out of the box. That one specifically to me though is just like, I feel a little bit insecure wearing them. They're just so bizarre. And maybe it's just the old dad coming through. Ultimately, it's a fun, different kind of pair that I could wear maybe if I'm going to LA and I'm going to a sneaker shop or something like that, or maybe to Portland to a sneaker shop. But ultimately, I'm not going to be wearing those around too often. And because of that, and also the price point being so elevated, I was like, you know what? I still have them and I don't plan on returning them or anything. It's just one of those ones that's going to be in my collection as something that I have, but maybe not necessarily something I'm going to wear overly too much. And I realize some people might have these on their top 10 list for the year. Totally understandable. And some people are going to probably be flaming me for having these on a regret list, but overall functionally, it's just not a shoe that I see myself wearing a ton. And the amount of times I'm going to wear the shoe versus the value of the shoe, it just doesn't really add up. Any which way, it is on my list. Getting in the top 3 regrets of the year, we have the Nike Vapor Max 2023. This is just basically the regular Vapor Max, but a 2023 version. There's not anything that sets apart this model too much further from the rest. It wasn't very groundbreaking or anything like that, but the price point at over $200 is, again, just kind of uncomfortable when you can buy a base one for, you know, half the price or something like that. I had to see if it was that much better than the regulars or not. There was a couple little changes that I mentioned in my video from the previous pairs, but ultimately just really not worth the price tag. If you like the Vapor Max, you'd be much better off buying an older version, in my opinion. They still have those at retail as well. You don't need to splurge on the more expensive version. So the number 2 spot of regrets on my list goes to the Nike iSpa Link. And it's hard for me to say that because it's such a fun, groundbreaking pair of sneakers. I love the idea of like the knit, and just the overall execution of the shoe looks really crazy. But one, they were super uncomfortable. It looks like you're floating on a huge, massive air unit, kind of like, you know, the Scorpions or the Vapor Max or something like that. But it's not soft on feet. It's very firm, very weird. Almost like a platform, but just not very comfortable at all. Also, there was little gaps in the upper where you could see through the shoes, which was a little odd. Also, the price point, like $300, was just ridiculous for them. So even though I like the overall look and concept of what they're offering, it's a regret for me because, again, the overall price point being $300, it's not a very comfortable shoe, and the build quality was a little bit sketch as well. And I do understand that the Nike iSpa line is just something forward thinking, which it's nice to be able to just check it out and see what it's about. Whether or not it's something to keep or not, it's something you determine after the fact, and for me, it was not something that I was going to end up keeping. But if I can get them back for a cheaper price, I'd probably do it, to be honest. All right, so we made it to the number 1 spot on the list. If you guys like the list or not, drop a like on the video. Leave a comment in the comment section. What is a pair or two that you regret getting from your collection? Again, it's not that serious. Some of these, I'm like, yeah, if I keep them, I keep them. If I don't, I don't. But ultimately, if I can get my money back on something, if there's the value that I just don't feel is there, sometimes I'll get my money back because I could use it for the next pair, you know what I mean? So that being said, the number 1 spot for me has to go to the Air Force Ones. I fell in that trap. I'm sure a lot of you guys did as well. I'm like, sure, I'll try to get them. I bought them. And then obviously you see all the people talking about how it's literally the same exact Air Force One box as the standard Air Force One. It just has branding on the side of the back of the shoe, which is pretty much exactly what you get. It's not elevated materials or like elevated anything, box or anything. It's literally the same box with the shoes with a little bit of extra branding on it, made with an elevated price point of like an extra 50 bucks. So I could definitely see that this is a cash grab. And a lot of people are going to draw the same parallels to the Supreme Air Force Ones as well. The Supreme ones have extra laces, and at least you have like actual branding on the insoles, and as well as like it's like de-embossed or whatever on the side of the shoes. So this is like a little bit cheaper than that. It's definitely one where I was like, okay, you guys got me. Nice job. There's my 150 for those ones. But leave a comment in the comment section again. What are some of your guys' regrets from the 2023? Ultimately, I don't regret anything because I'm super happy to be here and enjoying creating content for you guys. I'm not a professional or anything like that. I'm just an average consumer that likes to be here and share it with you guys. But I appreciate you all for stopping by and watching. And if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe, like the video if you guys like it. And hopefully we'll see you back on the channel for some more content very soon. All right, peace guys.